Not cut us back to 4 months school, but give us the same schooling that you have. And give us the same opportunity to be a jet pilot, a TV camera operator, instructor at UCLA, a football coach at UCLA, whatever we can qualify ourselves to do. Give us that chance. If you give us that chance, I think I can say this, and I think even all of the black extremists and the brown extremists say the same thing. That's what we've been fighting for. That's what we're going to accept and accept nothing else. But once you do that, it's over. But the white people got to understand that the future of this country is in your hand. It's up to you. You can crush it or you can let it fly away. Thank you very much.
For what I hope to be an exciting question and answer period. If you have a question, just stand and Mr. Evers will answer it and he'll pick you out.
Yes, sir. You know my record on that. He asked me to speak on self-defense. Well, I think my record speaks for where I stand. I'm nonviolent, but I'm also believe in self-protection. Now, I think I'm nonviolent on our demonstrations and on our confrontation with enforcement officers and this kind of thing. But you've never seen where I've taken a beating, and I don't intend to start at 46. But I don't think we should go out and provoke and try to start beatings. I wouldn't go out to arm myself and go out to kill all of the whites or all the blacks. No, not that kind. But if you come and attack me, I'm going to knock you back. And if you shoot in my house, I'm going to shoot back at you. That's different from violence. That's protection, and nobody can argue about being protecting yourself. Yes.
The reason I brought this up is I just got a letter from someone I know who told me her mother in Texas prohibited them from buying Colgate toothpaste because they used a black person in mad. And I think that sort of gives an indication of like that's a different world than this is, and that you're up against things which people in the Los Angeles community might not generally understand.
I ain't gonna go that route. No, y'all. You know that's the same thing y'all done all the time. Make us look bad in the South, and out here y'all do the same thing in a little more smooth and nicer way. The thing of it is, what he said is, and I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but what he said is that in Texas, there's a family who won't buy Colgate dental cream because they have a black person on one of the commercials. And he seemed to think that maybe that's worse in Mississippi. Well, I'm glad to know that. You know, one thing about the Southern white man, we know where he stands, and we know how to go after him. And that's why we're going to take over as many political offices we can come May 13th, because we know we can't trust him. But out here in California, where they rub you and pat you and grin at you, and you know anything, they stay in power, and they do you a whole lot more harm by not knowing where they stand than those that we know where they stand. So for this lady, I admire her more for telling it than for that who just won't buy it because, well, I just rather not buy it. You'd be surprised how California have some of those people out here who just won't buy Colgate. They won't tell you that, but at least this lady told it. So, otherwise, she's being fair. And that's why I admire George Wallace. A lot of people say, you crazy. I did admire George Wallace. We knew where George stood. Wasn't no question about that. And sure, we knew where he stood. But now there are a few others we didn't know where they stood. One day they were saying this, another day they were saying something else. And a man like George Wallace, had he become president, you talking about a revolution. We'd have shown him to turn this country inside out, upside down. He'd give us the weapon to do it with. But now with Tricky Nick, we're going to have a hard time. We don't know where he is. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Do you see any role at all for, let's say, a militant black organization?
Let me tell you something about him. He said, do I see a role for militant blacks? Listen, they have scared more hell out of you white folks in the last 3 months. And we've been able to march out of you and pick it out of you for the last 10 years. I mean, that'll answer your question. I'm not for, I don't want them to go to the extreme where they got to go and shoot. But I think we need all of the groups. And let me tell you something about the militant blacks. They haven't yet done any harm other than talk. Now, if they had done even 1/10 of what the white militants have done, then you'd see something. But I don't think you can read no place where they did anything other than talk and scared you to death. But you have burned us, you bombed us, you worked us for nothing, you broke all the laws, and nobody said anything about that. And the Ku Klux Klan was carried to Washington, the whole shebang, and they took the Fifth Amendment. Can you imagine that? And here we are now, just because we talk big and bad, they're going to put us in jail. Poor Rap Brown. Look, they got Rap Brown in prison in New York. He's not in a cell, but he's just walking around New York State. Can't leave. Why? He had an empty rifle on a plane. Now, can you imagine that? And here these cluckers go all over the country. They even taking planes going to Cuba. And all this kind of stuff, and nothing done about it. But soon a black man do one thing, they go to the extreme to try to stop him. So it's up to white people to stop all this kind of the double standard of justice and just do what's right. Now, right now, if a young white boy would kill a black, they'd go through all kind of legal procedures to get him out of it. You let a black kill a white, he'd be to the lucky chair before the sun go down. That's the kind of justice we have, and it's wrong. And we're trying to get white people to understand you got to stop doing that kind of wrong. The Indians, look how we did the Indians. We annihilated them and put them on a reservation. That's wrong. Look at the Mexicans. How do we do the Mexicans? How white do it? That's wrong. And a white American must realize she must learn to treat people like she want to be treated. That's all we're asking. And they just don't want to do it. Tell me it ain't time. But when is it going to be time? We've been in slavery for 250 years, and we've been in semi-nothing for 100 years. And we tired of that. Yes, honey. I'm glad to have him, if he's right. But the trouble of it is, most of those we've had in there go of peace with us and leave us. Now, if he's going to be in civil rights and really mean it, I think we got to be willing to take him on in. Because that's what we're trying to do, is to change the whites from being hate mongers and racists and bigots. And we can't change by keep pushing them out. So if there are any whites who want to join, let's take them in. God knows. But that's what we need. And the more white folk we get with us blacks, then we can overpower that racist white out there eventually. Suppose we get all of the so-called good white folks and all of the Mexicans and all of the Indians and all of the blacks together. Look out, racist white folks. We could take over and do what has to be done. So don't push them out. If they want to come on in, I'm ready for them. If they don't want to come on in on a man-to-man basis, stay where you are. That's my feeling. I don't want nobody that don't want to come in and treat us right. I go for white folks, and that's why I said we black folks. Just don't get carried off on that extreme, because we ain't got no big extreme with. Please don't be fooled by that. You cannot outdo this white man violently. Just keep scaring him and keep threatening him, but don't make the mistake and bomb him. If you do, you're through. I'm telling you. Look how they did us in Watts. You live out here. You know more about than I do. Everybody, 99% who were killed were us. And ain't nobody did nothing about it. But just some bunch of dead Negroes, and that's all. So don't go that route. We got them on the run. We just hold what we got. Keep moving it on them. Organize your community like we're going to do in Fed. Watch Fed May 14th. Homeboy, you watch that. Here's a homeboy. Stand up, son. Let him see. He ain't told you all that, did he? Right down there in Natchez, Mississippi. He won't tell it. I'm going to tell it on him. And he knows what we're trying to do down there. But we're going to take that town away from the races, and we're going to have it a town for all the people. We're going to really show you what it's like to have a decent community. Yes?
I agree with you that white folks have to realize that black folks are broke. But I have to accept that it's going to take lifetimes. Can you agree to that?
No, son. Somebody misinformed you. You ain't got that long.
I agree that we have to work now.
You ain't got that long now, unless your life is like tomorrow or next day. No. We ain't going to take that. No.
I agree that we have to work now and that we can't
Right.
work now. But I
Right.
also accept that it'll take lifetimes.
Well, I can't change your opinion, but I can tell you right now, you must gonna live a short life, because we intend to have our freedom like now. No, we ain't gonna buy that now. And you can start like today, helping to change it in your community, your mother, your father, and all your friends. Now we ain't crazy. We black don't know. No, we just ain't. Tomorrow we're gonna have all the things we know that, but we want you to get on the way. Start paving the way now, not in no lifetime. 'Cause I've been here 46 years and I ain't had nothing. And I ain't worried about my children enjoying it. I want to enjoy something. I got 4 daughters. They're going to have theirs. Let me have some of this pie while I'm here. See, that's a joke, but I want my children to have. I want all of us to have Evers and the Evers and all the rest of the people. Now, so no, we ain't going no lifetime unless it's like tomorrow.
Speaking of Nixon, how come black people deal with Nixon are too vulgar? Did you know
I don't think we have any choice other than to ignore him, because he's already ignored seemingly us during his campaign. But I think we got to watch Nixon. You know, Nixon's a politician. Don't you fool yourself. And Nixon only got 43% of the votes. Now that, and any man who runs for president of the United States knows that ain't nothing to be braggadocious about. So now, what he possibly going to do is just be quiet and use boys like Finch. You know Finch? You think he ain't moving on these white folks? He moving on y'all. Y'all better be careful. And then look who he got for Attorney General. You look at that? So you see, I don't know what he's going to do, but let's wait and see. I just don't know what he's going to do. Maybe he's going to act instead of talking. Let's hope so. And he claims he don't do so much about HEW and housing. Well, you know, Romney was pretty rough in Michigan. He didn't do enough. But he can do more now in he's in than he ever done. And let's see what he's going to do. All I would like to see is, now that they are in, let's give them 6 months to see what they're going to do. Because we ain't got no choice. But let's give them 6 months. Yes. Yes, sir. Well, I don't know about the Democratic Party. Well, we are the Democratic Party. That's why we're changing it. You know, we got rid of the racist part of Mississippi. His question was that how fast do we think integration is going to come in Mississippi? It has been predicted that it's going to be 100 years before it gets into school. Well, their prediction is wrong. I can tell you that now. Because we are moving, and we have more integration now in most of the schools than any other state in the nation. If you be online, check it. In my little hometown, particularly out in Fayette, where we live, the white school had 600 and some white pupils 2 years ago. And now they have 800 and some pupils. Now you figure what happened. I wouldn't doubt it. But I'm not trying to uphold Mississippi because she's wrong. But all I'm saying is, it's not going to be no life, no 100 years. Because we're going to step it up. Else we're going to find out what Finch and Nixon mean by saying that it hadn't worked. That's because we had this freedom of choice plan. Now that we got so-called enforcement of the desegregation of 54, maybe we're going to get more in there. But we're trying, and I don't know how long it's going to take. It still goes back to, again, how soon will white America begin to accept their black brother? That's really the answer to the whole question all over this country. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Number one, that they have all of the white literature and all white history in there. No black history in any of the libraries in Mississippi as I know anything about. And I doubt you have much out here. You may have some. So if you have, get some more. Get all the black history you can get. Now, and you say, well, you talk about black history. Yes, you know why? Because the whites never printed history as it should have been printed. If you'd have printed American history, you wouldn't have to have no black history and white. You just had history. But now that you didn't do that, go and dig up all the black you know and put in that library, and let all the young whites and black read what we've been doing all these years, and they'll begin a better understanding about us. So if you are a library, request that you get all the books by Elvis Cleaver, all by Mrs. Evers. Well, I'm trying to sell her book, you know, and all, and get all by all of the black writers, Du Bois, and all those. Get all of them in there. And my dear friend who was killed by one of us in New York, you know who I'm talking about, Malcolm, get his book. It makes a lot of sense. You have to go read that. You learn something.
Well, you're going one step further from what, beyond what is contained in the library, what kind of service is being given to the black people as well as to the white people? Somewhere along the line, failing in all areas.
Well, it's failing. Well, actually, we never had libraries in Mississippi until here recently. So I'm not in I'm serious. So I'm not in no position to really talk about libraries because we didn't have them. And we just got libraries since 63 and 4. And any of you from Mississippi can know that. And you whites who've been through there, the whites didn't have no library. They had a little old section, a little shelf in one room that a few of them would go. That's why most of us are so dumb in Mississippi. Because we ain't none of us had no exposure to all the cultures that go everywhere else. And most white people in Mississippi are just as dumb as we are. And we just found that out too lately. Yes, always, yes, sir. Then you. Please do. All right.
I really believe your type of movement about brother. And then I read a book like The Autobiography of Malcolm X, and it makes me think twice. Well, he had a lot to say.
Right.
And you think about the movement, that the only what I got out of his book was that first the Negroes have to separate and gain respect, because the only way you're going to get respect is by separation, and then go back into the society with an equal respect. And that to me made sense too. And a question I guess I'd like to pose is how can we change ingrained philosophies that our elders that have and try to teach us that maybe we're not listening to because we're believing in this new movement?
We hope so.
How are we going to change it?
Well, number one.
If your idea is more correct than that of a lot of Americans.
Well, no, wait. Malcolm, I said the same thing. We all said the same thing. But all Malcolm is saying was, and I'm saying it right now, that we blacks got to do it now together. That's all I said a while ago. We got to get together. That's all Malcolm said. He didn't say go. We already separate. And we can't. Don't worry about that. We already separate. Who together anywhere? We don't have nothing, not even in Los Angeles, together. So the black folks are already separate and together. Now what we got to do is get together and march on to the white power structure as a united front, showing that there is togetherness, and with our votes. And listen, with our man running for mayor here, this could be a good step. If all the blacks in Los Angeles, every last one of them, would go and vote for him, you'd be surprised. With the whites who are going to help him, you'd be surprised. So see, this is what Malcolm was talking about. And in our black businesses, we got to go and support each other and build up an economic base and a political base. That's all white folk understand, all we respect is political power and economic power. And once we can get that among our black brothers, we're in business. Well, I think he mentioned it, but Malcolm really wasn't serious. Because, no, he wasn't serious. Like all the rest of our black power boys, we all say that. But we really ain't going to let y'all do that to us. Because we know you'd be glad to put us on an island somewhere and starve us to death. Because we ain't going that route. But Malcolm was saying, if we can show, like in Harlem, where if they could elect black folks to office and have black businesses all through Harlem, it would be one of the greatest impressions they could give on white people all over the country. That's why in Mississippi, particularly in Fayette, Mississippi, we're going to set an example for white people. That we can run a town, and we can run businesses, and we can make it safe for everybody. You don't believe, you watch us. Yes. Well, there again is where white folks have won again on us. You see, I hate to see my people ever let this white racist use us. And this separate stuff is backed by white racism all over this country. Financial and every other way. This Easton and John Bell Williams and all them bigots are the happiest men in the world to hear black folks say, we don't want to be a part of y'all. We want to stay over in the corner. And to say we don't want to go to the best school. Now, there's no point in black folks telling me we ain't never had a school fit for a dog to go get their education in. And for black folks, they don't want to go across town to that best school, not because it's white, but the best school, there's something wrong with them. And I think somebody need to get out to Las Vegas and tell them that. You go to the best school, and it happened to be the whites that put all that in dollars and all that equipment in those white schools, and that's where we all need to go. And I hope that somebody can tell them, don't let the racists get away with it, because he knows that we are too close. And he doesn't want us to enjoy and be a part of this great universe. And if he can divide us, he's going to do it. They did it during the 1800s. They're going to do it during the 1900s. We let them. And in the 20th century, we can't afford to let white racism control them, because they'll take blacks and pay them thousands of dollars to preach this kind of mess. And I hate for any black person to let Medgar and King and all the rest of them die for them to have a right to be full participants, and then decide we don't want it. Now, this ain't going to work. 'Cause listen, white folks, you say what you want about them, they control everything here. Now, don't fool ourselves, black folks. They control it. And don't you let them ever tell you that they're going to give you equal. We've been trying for 300 years, we ain't got nothing equal. We want our part right in that pie. We're going to be a part of that cake, the ingredients and all. And we ain't going to hardly let y'all push us in the back of Mississippi. We're 46% of that state. We're going to take our part. If you don't watch, we're going to take yours too if you don't, and then give you a little piece of it back. We ain't going to let you give us nothing no more. Yes, ma'am.
What do you think is going to happen with the conflict between blacks and Jews?
That's a joke. That's another joke. There ain't no such thing as that. Listen, it just so happened that the races again are trying to put minorities against each other. She doesn't like that. Let me tell you. No, it exists on one way. We are attacking wrong. Jew wrong, Italian wrong, whatever wrong. If you're Jewish and wrong, we're going to attack you. And just so happens that in New York, if you're talking about New York in particular, that the school board is predominantly Jewish people. And the blacks is there saying, we want to have some say-so about our school board. And it's no more than right. And the Jewish people now are trying to say, you at them because we're Jewish. That's a lie. We're at them because they control our school board. And then they said, in the neighborhood, they're going to burn us out. No, I don't want to burn you out. It just so happened that Jewish people have always gone into the black neighborhood and siphoned off all the money and went up on Beverly Hill with it. That's all we're talking about. And we're saying, spend some of that money back with us. And don't live in the back of the store for 5 years and take over $3 or $4 million and go up on the hill and build you a big fat house. Don't spend no money out. That's all we're saying. But I told you before, even the Jewish people can't stand the sassy Negro or the nigga who asks questions. He done got to be this. Ain't nobody against the Jewish people. That's a joke. We're against anybody who's against us. Black folks, white folks, Jewish, Italian, whatever they may be. And we mean that. And we ain't going to start that stuff about we just against Jewish people. We're against anybody who against us. We're going to correct them too. We mean that.
Comment on the cultural nationalist movement?
No, I'm not for separatism. That's my answer.
I know, but I mean, there's a whole movement of
Well,
emphasizing black culture.
I think that's more or less white folks behind that. Ain't very few of us. Very few of us. That's white folks trying to push that. And there are very few of us, a few of us who take it on. But we're not going to let you do that to us. And I'll never be a part of separatism. We fight too hard to get a part of this. Look at it, look at it. And you should look at some of our school buildings. Go to Alcorn where I was supposed to win. Go to Jackson State where I was supposed to go there. And then compare with this here. Don't you be fooled, my black brothers. Don't let them get you off over there in them holes. Because they don't give you nothing. But what's left? Yeah.
Are you saying that you think white people are what's inspiring black people to convert to an African?
I certainly think that's behind a lot of it. No, not culture. No, not culture. No, not culture. No, I misunderstood what you said.
No, I meant the cultural movement.
Oh, no. Going back to Africa.
No, I mean emphasizing the historical culture.
Oh, no, indeed. Oh, no, that's all of us. I'm part of, yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm glad you called me. No, indeed. We are for, and we're demanding that we be a part of this, we be heard, and that our culture be brought forward rather than pushed back. Oh, yes, ma'am. We all, I hope thank you for bringing me, because I know, and I thought you were talking about this separatism, and we don't want this, we don't want that. We want our culture to be in every school building, in every classroom, in every library, and show what we've done all these years. And I'm 100% for that. All I was saying, I didn't want you to give me no separate state. That's what I was talking about. No separate dormitory. Now, I don't want that. Because then you're going to cut the heat off when you get ready. And you're going right. And then you're going see, and then you're going to cut off the lights. And I ain't paid my bills and all that kind of mess. See, no, we don't want that. Come on, soul brother. Y'all ain't got no questions? Go, you know all the answers. Don't ask you, 'cause you know. Let them ask you. Yes. No, no. Only thing gonna change the Southern white is take him out of office, and because see, long as he stay in, no, because they're scared. Like most white people are afraid of their neighbor, what their neighbor's gonna say, what their friends gonna say. So if it has changed them, you can't tell it much yet. Now Harding Carter and a few other young white boys who just never had to depend on that racist for his living in Mississippi are only a few who are really speaking out. Harding has always fought. Harding's a young, many of you may know of Harding. Harding is a very good friend of ours. Harding must be about 30, 29 or 30. He's always fought racism. Now Harding and a few others there, but most of the young whites are still scared because they depend on their parents. The parents may cut them off from their allowance or may not send them to school or this kind of a thing. But I think if we can just keep on pushing, there's a better climate in Mississippi, I have to say this, than it has been. But because we have decided we don't care no more about living. And we've decided that we're going to go in there and fight for this thing and not wait on them to give it to us. So if it has been a change, that's has been the reason. Let's get him, then we get you two. Yes. Well, you know, Julian and I are very good friends. I don't know what Julian's, I can't say his power base. I think Julian is a great potential politician for us. Now, I don't know where his power base is because, see, I just don't know much about. What are you talking about, in Georgia or all over the country? What are you talking about? I think he has a good image all over the country. And any time that a man can, at 20-something, whatever, 20 or whatever age he is, can get to be nominated to become vice president of the United States, somebody must care a lot for him. And I know I'm one of them who admire him, the greatest. But I think what Julian is saying is what has to be said. And he stands for what America should stand for, that every man, regardless of his color, have a chance to be president. You know, Julian may run for president one year. If he does, I hope to run with him, helping him get elected. I don't mean run as a president, I mean run to help him get elected. No, I couldn't be president. I haven't got time. Yeah. No, I tell you, his question was there was some conflict between me per se and SNCC and the FDP. Now, my only argument was we all were headed in the right direction. But my feeling is this: if you're going to be a politician, you do political work. If you're going to be a civil rights organization, you do civil rights work. Now, I argued with FDP was you don't have no business out here marching and picketing as FDP. Join SNCC or NACP, let's march and picket. Let's keep this for our political arm to get our people registered, get them organized, teach them what to do in City Hall. You be our political arm. If we're going to all be marching and picketing, who's going to be in charge of our politics? That was my only difference with them. And they felt like that they should march and picket and do politics, and you can't do them both. Something going to go undone. And I feel like that should be enough for the civil rights organizations to do all of the civil rights fighting, and that's why we organize the FDP. We don't want to organize the FDP to be the political arm of the civil rights organization. And that was the only comment. What really wasn't no other comment. I just never agreed that FDP as an organization should be out there marching and picketing for civil rights when you had NACP, SNCC, and CORE there to do that kind of work. That was the only argument. And I didn't know, and I'm not going to ever agree that any political organization, I don't think the Democratic Party or the Republican Party should be out here marching them down the street, talking about let them sit in that restaurant or sit over here. That's for your civil rights organization to do. Then they make it possible for those, when they come politically, take care of them on a political level. The appointment of the right judges and the appointment of the right deputy sheriff and the hiring of the right policeman. That's our political job. Oh no, let's don't. No organization take that credit, because everybody down there worked to get people registered. Everybody. So I ain't gonna let nobody. NACP ain't gonna take it because we didn't do it. We all worked together and got the Negro registered. So they ain't gonna go that route. Didn't nobody do no more than nobody. The young white kids came all over the country in 1964. Came all over the country, from California particularly. And the young blacks came and helped us to get registered. Now we ain't gonna let nobody tell us nothing about that. No one organization did all that. They didn't do it. Yes. Pardon? Am I for it? Yes, sir, I'm for it. Yes, sir. I sure am. When his question was, am I for industry in the black ghetto? Are we, you know what is your question? Like DuPont, General Electric? Sure, yes, indeed. But we don't want to come in there and use all the white folks for all the top jobs. And use all the technical folks to be white. We want to come in there and use our folk. Yes.
Up at San Francisco State, do you think Hayakawa was justified in throwing Nathan out of the department?
I really don't know anything about it. I'm not going to. I don't know anything about that. I will let you California work that out. I don't know anything about that one really. Yes.
You said that you want the black people to work through the politics and the money, those two structures, because that's all the white community listens to. Well, how do I, the person, get my white community to take a black and say, here, meet black person, not black something else, but equal? Does that follow after we respect you politically and economically, or should we try and have that come first?
Well, first, I think we should learn to accept people on our own merit. First, I was saying that I was speaking of the politicians, but as an individual, you're supposed to respect me because I'm a human being, not necessarily because I'm black or white. And then if you want to do it that way, then sure. But we should start. Every student here should respect every other student because they're a student. And that's what we fight. I hope that's what we're fighting for. And every parent and every faculty should respect every other faculty because they're human beings. Now, when you as individuals do this, I don't know. But I would suggest we start like now to respecting all our black brothers and sisters and all our white brothers and sisters as God's children. And the sooner we do that, the better we're going to be able to get our economic base, our political base, and all the other things we're talking about moving the American way. That didn't answer your question, did I? I can tell where you look.
All right, so perhaps all of us could do that. But
We hope so.
All right, if you want things, you want it now.
Right.
That means that we have to go back to our parents and our friends and say, look, you're looking at people wrong. You're not looking at them as friends.
Right.
But how can we? It's hard to do.
You got to do it, though. It's hard for you not to do it. It's much more easy for you to go and tell mama that don't look at him and scorn him and discard because of the color of his skin, because he's just like me. I could have been black mama. You just tell him so. I could have been a black daughter, and you could have been a black mother. Would you want that to happen to you? We got to do this individually. You got to say to your mother and father just what they would say to you. And you got to put them in our position. That if supposing you were a black mother and I was a black daughter, how would you feel if Charles Evans was a white man and Ms. Evans was a white woman would tell us no, this and that because you're white? Or even right now, suppose we start saying no white folks can do this. You know how it hurt you when our black power boys are cussing y'all, don't you? They don't want us no more. We don't know. Well, I heard you say it. We don't know what to do because they don't want to accept us just because we've talked. Not we've done any deeds against you, any acts against you. Look what you've done to us. So now, just tell them to stop. And I say that to all our blacks. I don't get behind the back and tell them this. It's wrong for blacks to hate whites. But whites got to stop giving blacks a reason to hate you. That's the most important thing. And let's try to do that now. Let's start right here at UCLA and make up in our mind we're going to do everything in our power to join hand with our brother, black or white, and start changing this country. It ain't going to change today. I ain't going to lie to you. It's not going to change tomorrow. But we can start the ball rolling right here at UCLA. And don't have the trouble you're having up at San Francisco. Don't have what you're just about to have where I was last night down at Santa Barbara. They finna have big troubles down there. They finna have really big troubles down there. And because no one cares, you got to care. You got to understand that you got to care about every other person, irregardless of his race. Because none of us made ourselves. God made every last one of us. And just like he made us, he can destroy us. So remember that. You've been so wonderful. I know you got to go to class. I don't want nobody to play hooky and cutting on classes. So I want to make sure that I don't be responsible for contributing to juvenile delinquency. One more question, then we're going to...
A good deal of the education on northern campuses is due to the fact that there seems to be a lack of meaningful black involvement, a lack of appropriate academic setup. But what about in the South? Could you comment on the origins for traditionally Negro colleges and what it implies to the future?
Well, actually, in the South, all we ever had is Negro colleges and white colleges. And we're trying to get into the white colleges now because they got all the best thing to offer. So come the word agitation. You know, it's not agitation. It's bringing us aware of what we have been denied and how wrong the system has been, and we're trying to correct it. So I would say that in the South, we're going to integrate those institutions and find out what they've been doing in there, and why is the white people get all these top jobs and with A's and B's and D minuses, averages, we can't get them with a triple A. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.